So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, and if you're watching on YouTube you can see, and if you're listening on audio get ready because I'm about to tell you. Welcome back to OFT, Mr. Brendan Dorman.
It's about that time, fellas, to break forth the rhythm and the rhyme. Let's do it.
You're like Carrot Top with props. Do you remember Carrot Top?
I was hiding it. That's why I asked you right before.
Anyone listening on audio who doesn't understand why I'm cackling like the dog from Roger Ranjet is Brendan out of nowhere brought a watch in going, it's about that time. Laced with dads. Brilliant.
Bust out the hip hop on command, you know, that's how I roll.
UFC 224 goes down this week in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. It sees Amanda Nunes taking on Raquel Pennington. It's Nunes Pennington. It is for the women's bantamweight title. Nunes is on an absolute tear since she's lost to Kat Zingano. She's been on an absolute destructive path. Do we see anything different here? Pennington has been laid off since November of 2016. Does she have a shot at the champion, even though she's currently on a 4-fight win streak? Or can we drop the idea, Brendan, of that 4-fight win streak, seeing she hasn't fought in so long?
It is. It was odd when I went to look at film on Fight Pass today that she hadn't fought in so long. I didn't realize. So, with that in mind, I guess, or as an addendum to that point you just made or question, she looked good against like Tate, and she looked good against Holm. Her last in Holm she lost, I think, a split decision. Yeah. And she beat she submitted what's her name, who beat her earlier.
Jessica Andrade.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Andrade, yeah.
Anyway, so she's been on this good run, but it was all 3 years ago.
Yeah. So
she's coming back in a potential ring rust type situation, fighting for the belt against a killer in Nunes, you know? Nunes' only close fight lately has been Shevchenko. That was a close fight. But she smashed Honda, and
Honda
she's got power. See, like when you watch Nunes and she's in exchanges, someone like Shevchenko's got very creative striking, right? So like Pennington's got this really straight lancing jab that she uses constantly, and then she'll kind of chain off of that. But she'll grapple in scenarios where she shouldn't, where she should just like escape the clinch, you know? Yeah. Like she'll kind of cage grapple a little too long and escape and then jab, 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 and then go back to the clinch. If that's the kind of strategy, like that was kind of her Tate strategy, right?
Yeah.
If she does something like that, she's going to get flipped. Because there's 5 rounds, and Nunes still has power in late rounds, you know? She's shown that now. So, you know, I don't know. I could see an upset. The line's ridiculous for it. We'll see. Yeah, she could win.
One thing that is always put on Amanda Nunes, and I was only saying it to Rob as we were starting here, is that the cardio issues with Nunes, they have dropped a little. And Rob said, you know, they still happen. Do you still feel that
I still feel that she's not a strong finisher. She starts very, very quickly. Our first round was probably the best round in the women's division, I think by quite a stretch. But I think that she goes down. If she's on the graph, she goes down, 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 down. Not to say that now we can say it's bad. What's your face?
Nothing. What?
It's like,
are you admiring me? What are you doing?
No, Rob said she goes down, 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 down.
Oh, you're awful.
Just look, I can't help what goes on in there. You know, I just can't help it.
Yeah,
he's a 50-year-old man, Brendan.
Clearly.
Yeah, no, she's a very quick starter, but I don't think she finishes as quite as well. Whereas I think
she's gone on 5 rounds, Rob. I mean,
she has, but I think the argument would be the opposite. Is for Pennington. I think Pennington, she starts slow, so it's the opposite, and she finishes very strong.
Well, when you look at the Shevchenko, the first fight when
that's
they fought,
interesting, but not for 5 rounds though, right?
Yeah, sure,
No.
sure.
When you look at the Shevchenko, the first fight, 3 rounds, everyone was sort of under the general agreement that if that went another 2 rounds, Shevchenko was going to take over and get the win. Then they fought again, and it went to 5 rounds, and Amanda Nunes sort of said, "See that opinion is all I had?
Yeah,
go stick that somewhere."
Yeah.
But it took that for her to wake up to cardio, you know?
I wasn't even meant to be dirty. That was being weird.
Now it's you.
Yeah, he's a
It's
fucking.
not.
I feel like we're at a rap party.
Yeah.
We're the red cake
But
cups.
right, so Amanda Nunes, we know the intensity she brings and the power that she carries in this weight division. So as you were saying, Brendan, with Pennington coming in and working off that jab, can she afford to stand in front of Amanda Nunes, utilizing that tactic?
No, because that's like one of her strengths, and that's what I worry about. The way I kind of see it, I mean, if she can make it into those clinches and kind of wear on her, because I mean, she doesn't have Diaz cardio, Bisping. I mean, we know that. We know she's not a 5th round Robbie Lawler-ish type fighter. I mean, that's not what she is. But if that's the plan and she can like avoid that right hand for 5, I wouldn't strategize that way. And Amanda, what are you gonna do? Take her down? She's a black belt. You know, I don't think that's a good strategy either. So it's probably gonna be a war of attrition or who lands, because Pennington doesn't have that turnover, push it to bed power at all. She'll just kind of ding you up. Like when she fought Tate, she got her face red, but she landed like 60 strikes. But none of them had her like on Queer Street or whatever. And again, so I think that, and the other thing with the jab is Amanda throws a long looping, like what I call like a 2-4 hybrid. It's not straight like a cross. It's not quite a hook. It's kind of like an in-between, but it's straight. It's not overhand. And that's like a really good counter strike to a jab if she times it right. It could come down to that, just those two, like right versus left hand.
I have a feeling this is going to be the tweet of, may have said this on obviously Fight Talk during the week. The point you just made there, that tends to happen with you when you call it. You absolutely call it. For me, I just don't.
Who said that?
Well,
Did someone else say that?
No. What you just said, I have a feeling that you'll be saying during the week. Remember, I said this on obviously Fight Talk.
Oh, right. Yeah, gotcha.
Like what I just see, like, again, in a way you can't dismiss the 4-fight win streak, but. No. How long does it last? Do you know what I mean? You can't say I'm riding a 4-fight win streak when one of them fights was almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, a little bit of that ring rust is a real thing, and it's, as you said, she's being put in there with an absolute animal, like
in Brazil as well.
In Brazil,
and that's not saying like they're fighting in Brazil. I mean, that's a travel. You need to travel down there to her home country and stuff. So that's difficult.
And if you ever talk to fighters that have fought down there that are like American, like ask them some stories. It's not. They usually don't give you an environment that's conducive to confidence. You know. Hostile territory.
So for me, I see no outcome here but Amanda Nunes, and I see Amanda Nunes getting it done, probably round one or two, just doing what she does and being incredibly aggressive. But as you said, Brendan, she can be aggressive because she's not fearful of the takedown, because if she gets taken down, it's like, okay, I'll put this weapon away and I'll now draw this sword. That's what she sort of has, and I feel that's, when I look at this fight and I look at where can Pennington win this fight, I find it very difficult to even come up with a possibility.
Attrition.
That's how I feel as well.
A war of attrition. That will be the only way. But for 5, right? I can't see her winning via submission. She doesn't have knockout power, right? So now we go, right? Stoppage.
But even that war of attrition becomes harder, the fact that she's being off for so long.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a born. She'll definitely have an adrenaline. She'll definitely have an adrenaline dump like during that. There's no doubt about it. But for me, I can't see past Amanda Nunes. Bruce Buffer saying and still.
I'm on the same boat. I just think, I think that there's a possibility, as you said, Brendan, if she can survive the first 2 rounds and come on strong late, I think she has a chance, because I do think Nunes will slow down a little. I do think Nunes will slow down a little bit. And I do feel like Pennington, even though we haven't seen over the 5 rounds, I do feel like she will be fairly consistent. She's always in her opponent's fight. Like that, the Holly Holm fight, that was Holm's first fight in the UFC, and I thought that was really impressive, her performance there. Especially at that time, Pennington wasn't looked at as any type of contender. She was coming off tough, and she was coming off of a couple of losses, and her record wasn't great. So I thought that was impressive, and what she done to Miesha Tate was excellent as well. Of course, Miesha Tate, that was her last fight, so you do need to take that into account. But I just think that Amanda Nunes in them first 2 rounds could piece her up, and then if you want to try make it a war of attrition late, I think she's going to take a lot of damage in the first 2, that I think it's going to be very difficult to turn it into a fight where she can be successful late. So yeah, I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes. I'm going to say a finish, but Pennington is very, very tough, and I think she's been finished once maybe by submission. So yeah, I'll go with Nunes by a second round stoppage.
I'm not gonna make a pick, but just because it's fruitless at this point. But I will say this: Amanda's the obvious favorite, and I can see her winning in one, honestly.
Yeah.
Because she's got put you to sleep power, which is, besides Cyborg, there's not in all the women's divisions, right? There's not too many with that kind of put you to bed.
No.
Rose has shown it once, right? Yeah. Joanna's, it's always piecing somebody up. It's not. It's more Dominic Cruz than Mike Tyson or whatever you want to use as an analogy, right? But can you 5 rounds with 2 years off? It's tough. It's so lofty. My only thing I wanted to say is, as kind of an addendum, is it feels like we're due for a big upset. It's been a while, Yeah. This would be a huge upset.
Yeah.
I think it's like minus. It's like a 9-1 or it's a crazy line on that fight.
Yeah.
So.
Worth a fight.
I mean, Amanda. Obviously, if you're, I wouldn't bet on the fight. Period. Amanda's, by all accounts, by all statistical measures, should win. Come out. I think she'll finish her.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous and pretty convincing that we all think the same way. Let's see us all eat humble pie next week. Your co-main event. This is a fun fight. This is an absolute cracker. It's Jacare Souza taking on Kelvin Gastelum. It's funny, as I was looking at this and just looking at the fighters, as you think of both fighters in your mind, doesn't Jacare just strike you as a much bigger man? But yet when you look at their actual stats side by side, he ain't that much bigger.
Really?
But doesn't he? Don't you get that inkling? Or just thinking about fighters, a much bigger guy.
Yeah, well, Gastelum is pretty undersized for that weight.
Yeah. And
he has said that in the past. The funny thing, I think he actually said that, I need to go back down to welterweight because I can't beat the huge guys like Chris Weidman and Jacare Souza and all these. He already lost to Chris Weidman and now he's going to go in there with Jacare Souza. But what you said, the stats are quite close in terms of size.
Yeah. Like in height is 73 inches against 69 inches, so it's not huge. But the reach is the one you look at.
Significant though.
Is 72, 71 in reach, and leg reach is 41 against 39. So it's fair enough if a guy is taller than you, but if your reach is similar to one another, who cares about if you're taller than me? Once my fist can land on your chin, who gives a...
I think Jacare is certainly, build-wise, he's certainly a bigger guy. Yeah. He's a much bigger guy physically. Like I think
he's more lengthy, right?
Yeah, he is.
Kelvin's a center of mass, low to the ground. He's not even built like a professional athlete.
No, he has a strange shape.
But he's a bad motherfucker. I'll get to that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, continue.
I was gonna say, I think this fight comes down to striking versus the ground. I don't think
old school.
I just don't think Jacare can catch Kelvin standing. He has the power to put him away.
Sure.
Although, based on what, right? When have we seen Kelvin? Kelvin gave Woodley a run. Remember?
Yeah.
That was a closer fight than I think some people remember. And Jacare's, that win over Brunson was impressive. He's got, the Okami overhand right win. But he has moments of kind of blah where it's like, dude, you're not using your jiu-jitsu. You're not using your judo black belt. You're not, Weidman beat Gastelum with a beautiful takedown into a beautiful transition arm triangle, right? Yeah. Like that, and that's Jacare. That's one of his best submissions. That and his Kimura probably. He does from like Kesa. Anyway, if it goes to the ground, Jacare can work his magic and probably finish it out. But you got to get him down first, right? Yeah. Or go for it. Jacare's kind of fallen in love with his power. He's one of those grappler turned loving his striking guys, So I think standing, Kelvin can piece him up. Kelvin is fantastic with his hands. Fantastic. His MMA boxing is like top 10, if not higher, maybe top 5.
Yeah, I agree. His hand speed as well.
Incredible hands because he cadences everything. He has the Diaz model, but with more like sound technique where he'll go 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. Like he'll follow right off his jab. That's how he caught Bisping. Is he messed with the cadence on his straight punches? He catches anyone with that, they're going to sleep. He's powerful, man.
Yeah. That's where I was saying that the problem here could be is that when you look back at the Derek Brunson fight for Souza, like he landed the head kick to start it, and as Rob said, to get out of my garden and follow up punches after. and it just, this tends to happen. You see other fighters like Roy Nelson is one that stands out because fantastic jiu-jitsu game and grappling game.
Black belt.
Yeah, and then he just fell in love with his power and went away from it. And when you look at Roy Nelson's latest victories, they've all come because he's taken fighters down and beat them up.
Yeah.
But Jacare,
remember him versus Kimbo? Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Crucifixed him after taking one.
Yeah,
tough. Yeah.
Got him on the ground, went to crucifix and just beat the shit out of him. That Roy Nelson, I was like, this guy's got a future.
Yeah.
Then he fell in love with that overhand right and started jabbing his face off.
It happens to a lot of fighters. The same with like Dan Henderson fell in love with his power as well. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
You'd fall in love with it for a reason.
But talking an Olympic level wrestler too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's something that you can sort of slightly see happening to Jacare. Now, for me, I'll give my cards away here. I'm picking Jacare to win the fight, but I can see him losing this fight if he decides that, you know what, I have a couple of knockouts on my resume. I know what you just done to Bisping, so I reckon if I knock you out, this will look good for me.
Yeah.
And that's how he could lose the fight, because Gastelum can counter and land a counter.
Do you know what I feel it is that if you look at a lot of Jacare's fights in the past, and you look at the submissions that came, a lot of them came from him hurting a guy and then taking them down and finishing them. And it's not all of them. He will go for takedowns, but there's a lot of those fights where he'll hurt the guy or
against a cage Rob usually. Like to your point.
But like a lot of them, and I don't think it's the fact. I don't think he'll only not rely on his striking, but stay back on his striking because he thinks he can knock out a guy. I do think he thinks it is a path to actually getting the fight to the ground as well. But that also opens the opportunity, as you said, Brendan. If he stands on the feet long enough and lets Kelvin get confident, and that comes really quickly with Kelvin straight away. He starts really fast. You know, this Kelvin could take this, and I'm not sure what the lines are like, the betting lines, but I'd assume Jacare is a bit of a favourite. So this
close.
Could be. Is it close?
Jacare's favourite, but not by a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
And again, I think
anyway, I'm 90% on that.
Again, I think that comes down to, you know, the fight starts on the feet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Gastelum, like I agree with, you said earlier you have Gastelum down as one of the top boxers in MMA. I agree with that. Like his
like MMA boxing, you know, it is.
His hands are lightning. We only look like that. The shot that he put Bisping out with, but when you look back, the library of Gastelum fights, he has an awful lot of success. And I think as well, in a way, almost what I opened talking about this fight about is in you think Jacare is the bigger guy, so I think he might be deceive some of his opponents when you look at him, because he doesn't have that big boxer look about him. He doesn't have it. He looks short and small, and you might think you're out of range or out of reach and get caught with it. And you know, I just, you know, I think that's where Gastelum will have a lot of success, and I just think that could be the downfall of Jacare in this one if he falls into that trap.
On that point, when I was talking about the 1-2, like the cadence 1-2, like his boxing's good because he understands positioning, angle, like how to attack in an angle. He's got good defense too. Don't forget, right? So the other thing, an addendum to what you just said, and I'm using the word addendum entirely too much, but he closes distance in a deceptive way, because I think because of his build, you know, if that makes sense. Like he's not, like you said, he's not this John Jones-ish long dude, you know? He's stocky and compact, but he's got explosive muscles, you know? The way that he closes distance is deceptive.
Yeah.
And someone like Jacare, who tends to just fall asleep in fights sometimes, for lack of a better way to put it, you know? It's like he's bored out there. He's not a proactive kind of guy. He, like, takes what's given to him, you know? He had a chance, like, with Romero in his guard. He didn't even attack. He was just trying to maintain. And I know he was hurt, but when you're at that level of a black belt, I mean, he's tapped like Marcelo Garcia. He's the highest level. I think he beat Audrey Gracie even in the gi. And we're talking about a world-class grappler that has gotten away from it forever. He got Kimosi twice, and he guillotined, who was it against the fence that he caught in a guillotine? It wasn't Musasi, was it?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he choked Musasi. I think it was a guillotine.
Okay, so, that's a big win, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? But you just don't, I don't know. I'd like to see it more. I love jiu-jitsu, and that might be part of it, but I love striking just as much. I don't have any rooting interest by any stretch, but, you know, I just think it's you can make it simple and go stand-up versus ground, right?
Yeah.
But Jacare can win standing, and if Kelvin gets top position, because he does have good wrestling, that's what he did to Uriah Hall, then he could win on the ground. I don't really see that
I don't see that
happening. But those are the safest kind of ways to look at it. But I think I can see Kelvin catching Jacare and skyrocketing.
Man, we do have to make the point clear though. If you go back and watch the Chris Weidman fight and look at the third round when Chris Weidman got on top, even though I think Chris Weidman's a bigger middleweight than Jacare, still
he definitely is.
Yeah, but they're still bigger guys than Kelvin. Like I think Kelvin, in terms of size, as in height and reach, maybe it's close. But I still feel Jacare, if he gets a hold of him, especially with his grip, like that's a guy who's been doing jiu-jitsu all his life, as you said. He tapped Marcelo. That grip is insane. If he can get on top of Kelvin, I think Kelvin will be in a huge amount of trouble. Like a huge,
his name
huge amount
means
of trouble.
Alligator.
Yeah.
That's not like a random nickname. It's because he clamps on you.
Yeah.
Good luck getting out. That's what that's all about.
Yeah. With all that said, I wouldn't bet on this fight in a way, but I'm gonna go with Gastelum as well. I'm gonna say he's gonna catch him on the feet. I think Jacare is gonna just give him too much respect on the feet and stay up there for too long. And Kelvin's fast hands.
Too much respect or not enough respect?
Yeah, not enough respect.
Yeah.
Or
because if I'm Jacare's coach, which I clearly I'm not, but if I were, did you guys hear an echo?
No, it's only sometimes a small delay, but go ahead.
It's super annoying. Okay. You hear me all right?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, sir.
I love you too. So, if I was his coach, I'd be like, jab right and then throw your overhand right. That's fine, but let your right hip follow. Like what Dan Henderson used to do in his prime when he was in Pride, is he'd throw his overhand right in a way to let his right hip put him into southpaw and then take down off of that. Because we're talking about a judo black belt too in Jacare. It's not as though he can't do it. It's will he even attempt it? Because that guy's head is impossible to get into. I will not pretend to have that guy's psychology figured out. And I also don't think the hometown thing will play in with Gastelum as much. I don't think that guy's really flappable.
No. Okay.
So standing, Kelvin. If Jacare changes it up and goes back to his roots, he can win on the ground. But I'm going to pick Kelvin to win.
Ooh, interesting.
2 against 1. Your next bout in the evening is in the strawweight division. It sees Brazilian Mackenzie Dern, American Mackenzie Dern, taking on Amanda Cooper. Mackenzie Dern, I believe, his quote is insane. She's getting this done within the first 30 seconds.
One thing I did like about
what did she say?
First 30 seconds.
First 30 seconds.
She said she tried to maybe respect her opponent's seconds from California.
Something like that, yeah. She actually had a British accent in an interview during the week. But anyway, she must have came to London for a weekend. So Mackenzie Dern here against Amanda Cooper. She's going to say she's going to utilise her jiu-jitsu obviously more. Something, Brendan, you done a breakdown on was Dylan Dennis pull guard. It shows it works in MMA. Is this something that Mackenzie Dern needs to do here? If you look at her in her first UFC fight, her takedowns, for somebody who's high level, her takedowns were absolutely awful. Her setups, just to the body clinch, to the change in levels, everything about it was ugly. If I was watching that and someone, I didn't know who Mackenzie Dern was, and someone said, oh, by the way, this is like a really, decorated Brazilian jiu-jitsu player, I'd be like, what? You one that can't take her down? Is it something that Dylan Dennis showed? It's almost like people say, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, until someone goes ahead and does it. Is this something that could come in and should come into play here for Mackenzie Dern if she can't get the takedown pull guard?
If she listens, or she has someone, she's probably not listening to me. I don't know if she remembers who I am, but yeah, because standing ABC's got. I've known Amanda for years. I used to talk to her when she was like an amateur, just shooting the shit on Facebook. But she's good people, and she's a hard worker, and she's gonna be game planning. Trust that. Like she's almost psychotically focused. Is she gonna win? I don't know. Who fuck knows? But if you're Dern, you should either be. There's two ways to look at it, right? Pulling guard, yes, I'm all for that, and always have been. I think Eddie Bravo's been saying that for 8 years, right?
Look it up.
Eddie Bravo's been saying you got 3 options. You got to stand up, you got to take down, and then if you run into the third, you have a flat earth. You have pull guard, right? And I don't agree with him on the flat earth, but I agree with him on pulling guard 100%. I think if your jiu-jitsu is that superior, which it's going to be against anyone, right? she beat like Gabby Garcia, who is like your size now.
Yeah.
You know, well, more muscle.
It's true though.
Thanks for joining us this week, and obviously Fight Talk.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't matter.
Either that or you do more no-gi, because her accomplishments in jiu-jitsu are in IBJFF, in a gi, you know, where you can kind of like fight from your knees or your seated guard. You know, it's not wrestling based. If she was at Danaher's on a Saturday, like they don't call that class jiu-jitsu. It's submission grappling. You know.
Yeah.
That delay is awful, huh?
No, it's fine.
Just Rob is saying just because he's looking.
Yeah. No, it's just there was a bit of news that came out recently about Mackenzie Dern and the MMA lab. She left the MMA lab, or she was asked to leave the MMA lab. Did you see that? Which I don't like, because John Crouch historically has been a really successful coach, and the fact that he said that she had to leave the MMA lab because she was having trouble basically committing 100% to the gym. She was basically traveling from another spot. I don't know if that's saying that she wasn't committing to training 100% or what, but I don't really like the sound of that at all, especially when she missed weight last time as well.
Who did? Mackenzie? I missed everything you said.
Yeah. What happened?
She's changed. She's changed.
She was asked to leave the MMA lab by John Crouch, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. I bet you there's more to that than we know.
Yeah.
In the short, though,
if I had to guess, you know. Because the way she talked about it, she was like, "Poha, I don't know, carajo. He told me now train at lab." So who knows?
Beautiful Brazilian. Do we see any way here for Amanda Cooper to get the win?
She's talented too. She's got out of strike and takedown.
I think so. I think, to be honest, I think it's a good matchup for Dern, because it's a boxer pretty much who has had trouble with submissions in the past. But I also think if we see the same Mackenzie Dern that we did in the last one, where she couldn't get a takedown and she spent a bit of time on her feet, I think Amanda Cooper can land on her. And probably pretty early, so
and she reacts weird to strikes.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks. It was when
it was like
winging by, you know.
It was like Ronda Rousey when she was getting hit, pretty much the way she was reacting to strikes.
100%.
It was like someone who just didn't
like
like
the bully getting bullied for the first time.
Pretty much, yeah. So I think if it stays in the feet for long enough, I think Cooper can win, and I think I wouldn't even say it's a crazy pick. Like I could probably put a bit of money, but I just think that Dern, the way she's been talking, she's been saying that she's going to go completely jiu-jitsu on this one back in Brazil, and our father's going to be there for the first time seeing her fight. So I think she's going to pursue a takedown, and I think she will get one, because Cooper just hasn't been great at defending takedowns. So I think she will get at least one, and once it hits the floor, I think that's game over. But I do think Cooper can knock her out on the feet. As
much as we were talking about Mackenzie Dern first fight in the UFC and how unimpressive she was, the one thing you were impressed with was when she actually got Yoder down. Just transitioned like that.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. She was in on a submission and the clock beat her. But it took her all of like 14 minutes and 52 seconds to get it to the mat. Yeah. But that 8 seconds, they're not the correct times, people. But them 8 seconds showed how high level she is. And that's what she's going to do. Similar to what we said about Jacare, if he can get Gastelum down.
I was just going to say.
If then
it's the same point.
Yeah.
It's when do you go in to instill it? Has she been working her takedowns? Why did she get kicked out of her gym?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows. But it's noteworthy, right?
Yeah.
And especially when?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That news came out like
if you're a world-class jiu-jitsu player, right? We've seen Maya. We've seen his trials and tribulations, but we did see him at his prime, like when he fought for the belt, a horrific stylistic matchup against Woodley, but he got there. He got to the dance. He got there 185 too, and that was a disaster. But forget that. What you saw progression-wise is like at first he had bad wrestling, so he would like try to do these lateral drops like he did against Chael, where it was almost more of pulling guard, right? And then he started striking more, and he started liking it a little too much when he wasn't really a striker. Then he got back to his wrestling and worked on it enough where it was like very MMA-friendly wrestling. You know, it wasn't right by how you would learn wrestling from anyone from a Neil Melanson type to a Gable or, like a Greg Jones type, like a wrestler. But it works. It worked for him. Single legs against the fence, drag him out, take the back, and it's all this sequitur, wonderful grappling. Now, if Mackenzie can just learn how to do that, or jump on a back, pull guard, all those things, those are all valid.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You just need to get it to the ground.
Yeah.
Right? If I roll with, say, Gary Tonin, right, which has been a million years since I've even seen him, but if it hits the ground, I'm fucking done. There's no, I don't get up. No. What am I going to do? That guy is so good. Honest, and I've seen, like, I think it was Rory with him, where he's like, he wouldn't mount him, right? Because he knew he'd get fucking heel hooked every time. It's like there's levels to jiu-jitsu like that. And she's at that level, especially in that division, but you gotta get there. You know? If you try to stand up and trade, Gary's a freak because his boxing looked awesome in his debut. I'm going way off course with that, but the point being is that, like, you have to learn a way to get it there, and it's not your striking. You should use, like, defensive striking. You should learn to probe for distance and then how to shoot in. Because, like, distance control with someone, we'll use like GSP or DJ as an example. A lot of times they strike to range find, but they're actually range finding for shots, for takedowns, you know? If she can learn that, I don't think it's been enough time, and I think the gym turmoil thing is noteworthy, especially right now. You know, porra caralho.
Your next bout then is John Lineker taking on Brian Kellaher. Lineker, of course,
that's such a good fight.
Yeah, Lineker was on an absolute tear, and he ran into TJ Dillashaw. That's the latest, his first defeat in over 4 years. So do we see Lineker here in Brazil as well? I know I hate saying that, but I remember the old rules when you were backing UFC. When it was in Brazil, it was just simply back to Brazilian. John Lineker here, for me, I don't see past him. I'll just cut it short with that. I just think he's too explosive, too fast. He's got absolutely death in both hands if he lands. And I just think if he lands one of them, and Brian Kellaher, it's going to be an early night and an early flight home for Mr. Kellaher. Rob.
I can see it. Go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, after watching some film on Kellaher, because I've watched all Lineker's stuff more than once. He's very like who was the rock guy in the Fantastic Four, The Thing?
Yeah.
Right. He's very that.
Nice
he has no footwork. Nice he's just got an unbelievable chin. Unbelievable. Crazy power, and he goes to the body, which is smart. So he'll wear you down. So someone like Kellaher, who against Barao faded a little bit towards the end, not too bad. It was just that kind of a fight. But he almost knocked him out. I mean, he would have if it went another 20 seconds, I think. He moves a ton, so it's going to look like a Cobra Mongoose thing, I think. You know, because Lineker it's one, and the other guy's going to take about 20. You know what I mean? I think it's going to come down to that. I don't see much grappling, to be honest. Dillashaw's brilliance, and here, I want to say no shame in losing to that guy. He's top 5 pound for pound in the world, I think. TJ Dillashaw is incredible. Was his takedowns. Remember, he was like doing the foot shuffle from where he kind of like lean baits in, and then he'll switch feet, throw a jab up, change levels, wrap around. Then he was like doing the outer leg reap. I mean, and it was sequitur. I mean, those takedowns were genius. Lineker had no answer for that, and that's certainly how he started dominating, right? I think he was kind of winning on the feet, but at first he was like, there's a little feeling out process. Checked leg kicks, missed head kick, fell down. Lineker doesn't seem to feel much pain, you know? I think it's going to be that kind of a fight. I'd favor Lineker, of course, experience-wise, and just how that usually goes, you know, that scenario. Yeah. But interesting. I think that fight could be really fun.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. I think the type of fighter that would beat a Lineker is somebody who is like defensively sound, but then can counter pretty well, and like a TJ Dillashaw who
I was just gonna say
who's
TJ.
defensively sound and then can counter pretty well. Whereas Brian Kellaher, although he moves a lot, I still see him, and I'm sure he can fight as a counter striker. I haven't really seen a huge amount in that sense, but I don't think he's like a TJ Dillashaw who can do that. I still see him as almost like a hammer, so similar to a John Lineker who likes to come forward and land shots. And I just, I don't know if he
gets
can
hit on the way in, you know.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't really see him out John Lineker in this fight, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so
he was, because like his timing on Barao likes that lancing long jab, right? And he's fallen from grace a tad, and I don't want to pick on the guy because I always liked him Barao. But he was jabbing so much that I think in between the first and the second, his coaches were like, dude, throw something over that jab. It's predictable. It's slow. And it was slowing down because he was doing so much cage grappling, you know, and that wears on you for sure. And the speed of your jab and the straightness of it and all that's gonna diminish. But he couldn't time the right hand over it. He kept trying. And then he switched stance and he tried to come in with this, like, you don't want to lead with uppercuts from 7 feet away. And he's doing shit like that. You do that against Lineker, you're gonna get fucking clipped. You know.
I'm going with Lineker.
I was just
I think that's a smart bet, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the other guy could just stay away and point at him. And no, I would be surprised, but not like end of the world surprised.
You're opening the cards, which is weird because Vitor Belfort has said he's not retiring.
Did he?
Because you get paid when you retire, so I won't be getting paid, but this is definitely my last fight. So
Vitor has always been weird.
So Vitor Belfort taking on Machida, two of the more famous Brazilian fighters, I suppose, in the last.
Definitely. Yeah, Vitor's probably one.
Both have had their issues with supplements.
Differently, but yes.
Things like that. But the fact it's in Brazil. Vitor's last fight.
Like if I could have one of their grab bags, I'll take Vitor's for under Alex.
But yeah, I'm surprised that this is opening the card for nostalgic reasons. I almost think for Brazil, for the chance to say goodbye.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So in a way, that's what I mean. And I'm not ripping. I'm not going to go in this fight and say, you know, if he has Jesus on his shorts, he'll look a lot more ripped. You know, Vitor has done incredible things for MMA. He was a great representative. Unfortunately, the old asterisk goes beside him now.
Dude, 20 years of fighting.
Yeah, unbelievable and incredible. One of the like a highlight reel that they still show in the UFC is him just charging forward of Vanderlei and absolutely lighting
one of the greatest moments ever. Ever.
He's still fighting.
Yeah, still.
That's
fighting.
weird. That's crazy.
It's insane. I know. He doesn't look the same.
Like they were wearing shoes.
Yeah.
He was wearing shoes, and he's still fighting
which
now.
back then you had an option, right?
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Wear shoes, but not kick, or wear shoes and kick, or the way around.
But like when you put it, like he's fought Randy Couture, he's fought Chuck Liddell, he's fought Alistair Overeem, Dan Henderson,
John Jones,
Rich Franklin. Anderson Silva.
He almost got Jones.
I know.
Anthony Johnson.
I know. That's when Rumble was trying to cut from 240 to 170.
It's just ridiculous, the names.
Yeah.
Marquardt, Mousasi, the names that Vitor Belfort has fought is incredible. What an incredible career. And Eddie Machida, who came in and like Joe Rogan refers to it as the Machida era. Remember, like, it was this whole new thing.
It didn't last very long.
The Machida era.
I didn't buy into that shit.
Enter Shogun. Boom! See you later, era. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot your homie. Oh, we got some things coming up with that.
MMA history. But this is a celebration of a fight in a way of two great fighters that, you know, both.
Yeah, I agree, man. It should be higher up because of its status as a Brazilian fight.
I agree.
And I think Machida is like 39.
Yeah.
And
Vitor's 53.
54, I think, by the time the fight comes down. He's 41. So it's a great fight.
Well,
and
it's just weird. He's older than me, man.
Yeah.
A bit.
But you know what's right about this, Brendan, is his final fight was originally meant to be Uriah Hall. This is a better final fight for Vitor.
I agree with that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because Uriah Hall gains shit from beating Vitor.
Yeah.
This is like a swan song-ish fight, you know?
Yeah.
For both, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe, possibly.
She's got to be nearer the end.
Yeah, you think so.
But the weird one about Vitor is, like, before that last fight, the Nate Marquardt fight, I was just looking at Vitor going into fights and saying he has like 2 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
2 minutes and
like
it's
Weidman, the
done.
Weidman fight.
Yeah, it's like 2 minutes and it's done. That's happened. In Mousasi, it kind of happened where he kind of slowed down really quickly. But the Nate Marquardt fight was impressive. You know, it was impressive for what it was. You could argue that Mark Carter won that fight, but that was in Brazil as well, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So it's hard to argue and say, oh, he only has 2 minutes, but I still feel like Lyoto Machida has more left at this point.
Especially if Machida fights the way he can stay out of range, the way the old Machida.
He doesn't really exert himself a whole lot, you know. He's
like, out of your way.
I'm here, yeah. I'll counter you.
He's like the whole the idea of he's almost like a cobra that he sits back and sways and sways and sways, and when you're ready, bang, he strikes.
He actually does that.
He's Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy light.
Yeah. Wonder
he's
Boy
not. He's not that.
No.
Wonder Boy is like another 2 tiers up in striking. Prime versus prime.
Yeah, of course.
Because Machida, you got to remember. Here's the thing: everyone loves his striking, and I think he's I don't know, underground Sherdog Reddit kind of guy. Like, he's popular. He's got a cultish following. But if you watch some of his fights, like watch his fight with John Jones, right? Yeah. And that was in the pre-USADA days. So whatever the fuck. But John was out striking him, really. He caught him. He clipped him standing prior to that beautiful standing guillotine leaning on the fence. He caught him with a Superman punch that pretty much knocked him dead. Yeah. So John, and that wasn't the refined striker that John was against Cormier last fight. Course, yeah. That was his second defense, I think, or first. So is a stand up no one like straight up striker goes in there with Wonder Boy, although we'll see with Dern, that's going to be fucking amazing. Has ever looked all that good. You know what I mean? Like, Woodley was the threat of the takedown that changed the entire complexity of things, you know? But people don't outstrike Wonder Boy. No. We might see it soon.
Yeah, but. Hey.
I think they have a bit of a similarity in striking. Not that they're completely different strikers, but I feel like their speed is like they have great technique, but I think their speed is what kind of caps that, if you know what I mean. Like, I think Machida, if he doesn't have his speed, like the timing is still there, but he's always been great at getting in really quickly and getting out. And same with Vitor.
He blitzes similarly, but he does not have the dexterity, the arsenal, the angular sense, because Wonder Boy does that like drape, side step, like what I used to call like the crossover dribble effect, to explain what TJ does, where he kind of leans forward and does like a shuffle step twice to lean in. But they'll do it at an angle. He did it against Masvidal. He did it amazingly moving backwards against Cote, where Cote is coming in straight, and he cuts line here to throw a right straight through. Like, the way that he cuts angles backward, forward, sideways.
He's not very good at going backwards, I feel. Machida's not very good at going backwards at all.
No, exactly.
He's not very good at all.
I mean, that's a major difference.
Yeah.
But if you're going against a grappler, you know?
But I think his years have
Wonder
passed.
Boy's a much higher.
Yeah.
I'm just using him as an example, right? Because Vitor's striking style is to go forward.
Yeah. But that's what I was going to say. Yeah. If Vitor comes forward and blitzes like that, I think he can catch Machida. But what I mean with the similarities between Vitor and Machida is that Vitor's blitzes and Vitor, the way he comes forward and strikes, isn't as good without his speed or his explosiveness. And the same with Machida. Machida's timing and the way he catches people coming in isn't as good without his speed, and I think that just diminishes over time.
Sure. Yeah, they always say, like, speed's the first to go.
Yeah.
Power's the last.
Yeah.
That's a old boxing adage, but I'm sure it's the same for MMA.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know who the fuck's going to win that. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I'll tell you at, like, weigh-ins. I want to see how they look, you know.
If Vitor is jacked out of his mind.
Christ, he aged 5 years in about 5 months recently.
Who wins?
I'm going with Machida. You?
I'm gonna I have no fucking idea. I'll go with Vitor.
Retirement win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Swan Song retirement win. Some things I could associate with myself.
Victor Gracie, you're picking?
No, Rob said some things that echoed how I feel.
Victor Gracie
is Rob said people look at him and think he can only last 2 minutes. That's how my wife looks at me. He gets in and he gets out and gets the job done. That's how my wife looks at me. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Vitor.
You only have one female viewer, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's Rob's missus. Sorry, Nikki, apologies. But I'm going to beat Belfort just for the fairy tale. MMA doesn't do fairy tales, but fuck it, it's going to do one on Saturday night.
It's in need of one, man.
Yeah.
Christ.